Welcome back to my channel and for another video. Here I have the NX8, which I bought to control my RC planes. I started off with several smaller controllers. Last one I was using was the DXS, which is a great controller. It worked with the Carbon Cub, flaps, everything. Had a little button problem that I fixed. That was great. That's in another video if you want to watch it. And now I've moved up to the NX8. So the NX8 is really quite nice. It's programmable, have a screen, can do lots of interesting things. So I'm going to show you how to set up the Carbon Cub S2 with flaps on the NX8. It's not quite as simple as you would think. Initially, there is a option to change wings, which I will show you, and very nice flap menu. But unfortunately, if you turn that on, then you lose your safe modes. So there's a different way of doing it, and I will show you that now. So first thing we can do is we just make sure all our switches are set to 0. Okay, everything is on 0. Throttle is down, and now I'll show you how to go to the website and update your firmware to make sure you have the latest firmware and any templates that you might need.
First we go to the Spektrum website, we find our transmitters in there, and we're going to find the NX8. We're going to pick our model. The model I bought didn't come with the receiver, so it's this model. That brings us to our main page. On our main page we have some useful information. Let's go to manuals and support. Download the manual, of course. Save this manual and read it. Lots of great information on it. We're going to then download 2 more files, and the other 2 files we're going to save to the SD card, which is going to be inserted into the transmitter at the end. We're going to go first and get one here. So I'm going to skip to my products page and bring you to this page, which is download. Download the latest version of firmware. You can see the file is downloading there. That file we're going to copy onto the root of the SD card. Now let's go in and have a look at the models here. So again, this document is quite useful. If we scroll down here to the bottom of this document, we will see that the file type we're looking for is NSPM. Those are the presets for the NX transmitter models. Back up here at the top we have our link for our DX and our NX, so let's go here to the NX site. Go through the folders here. I'm looking for the Blade Nano S3 preset template. Find it here, right click it, download, and this is the second file that I'm going to copy to the root of my SD card. And let's have a look in here. HobbyZone, is there a Carbon Cub S2? No, there isn't. That's not a big problem. We'll use the save template.
Device is powering on. That's it. So I'm using actually a Blade 230 on the simulator. That's what's in there, but don't worry about that. So there's 2 levels of menu basically in this device. I'll take you through the buttons. This is the cancel button, this is the back button, this is the function button, this is your scroll wheel that moves left and right. And if you press it, it's kind of like the mouse click. So, and then go back, you're back to the main menu. So I click on here, and I'm in the main menu, which all the settings in here basically affect the plane or helicopter that I'm connected to at the moment. And I stay connected to it, editing these. Now, if I want to go into the next deep level menu, that's called System Setup, I can go into that menu, but the RF connection with the plane will be lost. Yeah, so this is not something to do when your actual aircraft is in the air. There's my system setup. It gives you a warning about the RF being disabled. You click yes, and now I'm in the system menu. We can go here and we can select a model. Okay, now you can see I already have one in here actually, so we're just going to ignore this one and start from scratch. So add a new from a template, okay? Because we couldn't find the Carbon Cub S2 with flaps template on the website. But there are many templates on the website, and I will show you how to access those templates and how to load one of those templates. I'm going to use one for my Blade Nano S3 helicopter. So if you want to watch that next video where I'm connecting that to this device, you'll see how to load the templates. For now, we're going to use the Acro Safe NSPM. The NSPM files are the files for the NX transmitter series. So click on that. Model will be appended to end of model list. That's great. So I'm just going to, scrolling this wheel here left and right moves you around. So we go here to import and then we click. Now it's going to import that model. So this just takes a second or two to import. This is importing into the device. Now it's talking to me. That's great. It's in there. The model name is called Safe. So let me go here. System setup again. And model name. Click that. So again, you're moving this all around. Back. Oops, hang on, let's do this. And then we delete that. Okay, so now if you want to scroll left and right all the way you can. What you can also do is you can hold the function button and then moving to the right brings you down and moving to the left brings you up. Some people like to do that. Or you can set your keyboard up as a different method anyway. I am just going to call this CC 2S for Carbon Cub 2S. And once you've that done, you can click the back button again, and now back button again, and you can see that's the model CC2S. Next thing we're going to do is bind it to our plane and see what works. So in order to bind it to the plane, we need, for this model, our bind plug. There's our bind plug and battery, and of course the plane. So we flip our plane over, open it up. I put this little bit of foam was in the box. I leave it in the front just to cushion my battery. So bind plug should be somewhere in here. And yes. Okay, that's going in there to my bind plug. Battery is going in here. Let's track that down. Good, battery's in. So this is turned on. Okay, as you can see, that's turned on. Going to connect my battery. Okay, I leave my bind plug out there. I'm gonna spin it over. And now I can click here, go to bind, yes, bind, bound, and has telemetry. That was it. Now the controls wiggle around there a little bit to show me that it's connected. Now we can see it's connected. Let's check our modes. Our green light is on in the front.
Intermediate mode.
Blue light is on. Experience mode is on. So that's the red one. So normally I'm leaving it in experience mode so that I can see the full flow on these.
Aileron,
low rates, high rates. Tail, okay, up and down. Throttle cut. Throttle cut is working. Throttle cut off. So
elevator, low rates, elevator, high
D is what I'm going to use for the flaps. But right now, if you didn't have flaps, you're basically good to go. You can do some fine tuning, some adjusting, but that's all you really need to do to set up the Carbon Cub S2 without flaps. You wouldn't see that down, of course. And yeah, the high and low rates might need a bit of fine tuning, but basically we have our left and right, up and down, throttle, everything is running. So now let's go through the flap setup. So back on the table, hopefully you can see things a little bit better here. Our plane is working, as we said. Let's check our throttle. Good. Okay, what we can do, of course, now is, I forgot to show you that, just remove the bind plug then. Bind plug removed. Keep these, they're quite important. Now the interesting thing is, if you go here, and if you go in, this is the way you would normally go into system setup, and this is the way you would normally set up flaps on a wing. You would go here to, but this won't work. Yeah, I'm just going to tell you straight away, this hasn't worked for me. We go to aircraft type, we select the wing, and this wing is actually one aileron, one flap. Then we go back, and we go back, and okay, my battery is a little bit low, and now you'll have a flap system menu. Yeah? Okay, so nothing's gonna happen. We gotta rotate, click, and you can scroll through and pick a button, or when this is highlighted, you can simply click the button and it'll put you on button D. And there we go, flaps position 1, 2, and of course nothing is working. And
beginner mode, intermediate mode, experienced mode, beginner mode.
My safe mode is in green, and it is
Intermediate mode, experienced mode, beginner mode.
stuck in green. So that's not working. So just saying that is the way, you know, when you read the books and things, that is the way that you think you should do it. But it's not going to work with the Carbon Cub S2 because Safe is using the channel. So let's go back to system setup. Yes, and we go to aircraft type. And let's put it back to normal wing and go back. And now we're back at the start. Sorry about that. And you can see our flap menu is gone. But
Intermediate mode, experienced mode, beginner mode.
my modes are working. So how are we going to control the flaps? Well, this is how we're going to control the flaps. First of all, I'm going to check my switches, my I switch here, which is my bind, my emergency. That's on auxiliary 1. You see that? That's 100, and press it is minus 100.
Panic,
On one of my planes that actually was backwards. I had to change it around, but that's the panic button. Yeah. Okay, let me go into system setup. Yes. Channel assign. Oh, sorry. No. Channel assign. Channel 6 is our panic button on I. Channel 7 is inhibited. Channel 8 is inhibited. So I'm going to go now to channel 7. Click here. Flick the switch and D comes up, or you can scroll to D. So channel 7 auxiliary 2 is now using button D. That's what I'm going to use for my flaps. You could use any button you like, really, to be honest, as long as it's a 3-position button, or you could use a 2-position button and only have 2 of the functions working, whatever you choose to do. But I'm just going to use this button here. Let's go back, and now okay, so now I'm going to come back up here and I can show you. Okay, now I have my left and right, and let's put it, normally in advanced mode is better, you can see things move a bit better, left and right, and channel button D is on channel 7, which is my flaps. Okay, that's great. Now the problem will be, of course, if I'm flying along there with half power or more than half power, and I put the flaps down without any elevator compensation, the plane is going to balloon up into a very hard to control upward balloon and then stall. So I'm going to show you now how to add elevator mix to our flap channel, and also how to slow it down, because that's too fast. Okay, let's come back. It was up. So servo setup, that's all good. Auxiliary 2, what you can do if you really want, and I did that actually, is I changed that to 80 because, or I changed that to 90 because I am not, you can see it here now moving from 100, that's the fully up position, 0 is the mid position, and now it's only going to minus 90. So my full flaps, if you want to use full flaps at 100% of their capability, leave that at 100. But for me, I don't really like it all the way down because it slows it down a little bit too much. So let's take off, and that's basically 90% of the way to being full flaps. Okay, that's just something I like to do. Let's go server setup again. Now you see we have here travel. So I'm going to go to travel, click on it, and change this to speed. Now I'm going to scroll down here to auxiliary 2, which is my flaps. Okay, and I'm going to change this to 2 seconds. What that's going to do for me is slow down my flaps. So now switching my flaps here, I can see it on the plane, but you can also see it moving here. That's flaps all the way up. So instead of it just going instantly down to the position and kind of jerking your plane out of control, it now takes a few seconds to go to 0, which is the midway position, or what some people call takeoff flaps. And then landing flaps takes another 2 seconds to go down to landing flaps. Don't forget, I have mine set up only to use 90% of the landing flaps. That's your own choice. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Now obviously you don't want to have a delay on any of the other axes at the moment. So now I have slowed down my flaps, which is great, but what I want is I want some elevator compensation. So when I add my takeoff flaps, I want that elevator to come up in order to keep the nose of the plane pointing level, because otherwise when I add the flaps, the nose of the plane is going to jump up, and I'm going to have to go pretty far forward on this in order to keep the plane level, and then hold it there for the duration of the flight, which I don't really want to do. So we do that with a thing called elevator compensation. So we create a mix in our menu. Let's go down to mixing, and we are going to go to, there's already some mixes in there. We're going to go here to mix 0. That's not in use at the moment. INH, 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 that means inhibit, I guess. Let's click on this. Yeah, normal is fine. And now I'm going to change this to okay, rudder, gear, aux 2, and elevator. So at the moment the rates, everything is at 0. So I can see here now that's my auxiliary 2. These are flaps up, flaps in the middle, flaps down to 90%, because don't forget I changed that earlier. I'm not going to use 100% at the moment. But you see my elevator, nothing happening to the elevator. So when I add these flaps, airplane nose is going to balloon up. When I do this, it's going to go up pretty high and stall, unless I use a lot of elevator control there. So I'm going to set this up like this. So I'm going to change my rate here to 100. So that basically means now if my flaps aux2 are at 100, my elevator is going to be at 100. Bring this down to 0, my elevator is going to be 0. Bring this down here. Okay, but I don't want that. So I'm going to change my offset here to also 100. Now it's offset 100. Nothing really happening there. And now I'm going to go, oh, if you go plus, that will cause you an even bigger problem because your elevator will go in the wrong direction. So, oh, let's give her, so let's give it minus 20 here. Okay, now that's set. Switches on, so when I switch my flap, my elevator moves up to 20 with mid flaps and up to 40 with my flaps all the way down, but all the way down is restricted to minus 90 here. So, and that is kind of what I like to fly with. So, you know, take off flaps here and I'm giving it some elevator control.
Elevator,
And then full, and we're going up to 40. And my full is only 90%. That's it. Play around with the numbers in here. Eventually you'll figure out how they all work. But right now I'm using 100, 120. If I wanted, say for example, to go up to say 30, now that's going to give me 30 on the elevator for center flaps, and full flaps is going to bring me up to 60. That might be a little bit too much. Sorry, it may or may not be too much depending on you know, I mean, if I was flying with full, sorry, throttle cut on. Keep the throttle cut on. You know, if I was going to go up 100% on the throttle, you could try that, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe that might be a bit too much. There we go. So that's going to keep me happier, and I might even reduce it slightly when I'm on the field and testing. But so far that seems to work for me. Flaps up. So we have our flaps on aux2. We have a delayed reaction when it comes down 2 seconds to position 0, which is half flaps or takeoff flaps. 1, 2. And the elevator, there's no delay on the elevator. That's just the way. You don't want to put any delay on your elevator. Full flaps 40. Back up. Okay, that's basically the plane setup. You can go around here and throttle cut. So if I go here, throttle cut switch, I have that on H here. A lot of people use switch H. It seems to be popular.
Throttle cut off. Throttle cut off.
And I also have the voice on. So if you press the function button, you go back to the start. If you press the function button, you can adjust your volume. Now let's bring the volume up to say 100.
Volume 100.
So I see the switch here.
Intermediate mode. Beginner mode. Experienced mode.
And that's it. You're all set up. You're ready to go. And Carbon Cub S2 set up. You've got your safe modes.
Beginner mode. Experienced mode. Intermediate mode.
Your flaps. I'm just going to switch camera now and show you that on the actual plane itself, and then after that maybe I'll squeeze in a tiny bit of footage of taking off with and without flaps that you can see it makes a huge difference.
Experienced mode.
Right, and now you'll watch the flaps and you'll see the elevator change slightly. Watch. Now the elevator has moved up a little bit, yeah. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And now it'll move back down when I take the flaps up. Great. And my modes are all working. That's advanced mode.
Intermediate mode.
Intermediate mode, blue light.
Beginner mode.
Beginner mode, green light.
Experienced mode.
Experience mode, and then if I press my I button, my bind button for panic mode,
Panic.
the green light comes on. And it stays on for a couple of seconds. Back to advanced. So that's what panic is doing. Panic is basically you press it, it's just putting you into safe mode for maybe 2 or 3 seconds. So try it again, panic mode.
Panic.
Cool, so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's helpful for you. I know it took me a lot of research and a lot of work to get this working on the NX8. But like everything else, now that I know how, it's pretty easy. Let's go fly. And afterwards, subscribe please for the next video. I'm going to take the Nano S3 and connect it up with my NX8 and fly it around the room. Okay, see you next time. Bye.
That's just amazing. Isn't it?
9, 8, 7,
Put my flaps back in now, back to normal.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, now I'll try and do some passes here. Is that good? Perfect. More. Now I'm just going to come in right in front of you.
1 minute over.
Not landing, no. Okay, I'll do that again. Now I'm going to come back and land. So, power down. Oops. One notch of flaps. Second flaps. And too high. Going back. Try again. Sorry about that.
2 minutes over.
Oh, now my battery's starting to go down. Okay, first flaps, power down, nose down, flaps. Ready? I'll do another. So the wind is coming from there. 1 minute to land here.
30 seconds.
Wait for this guy to be gone. Okay, he's gone. I can come in and do landing. See how fast it goes when there's a tiny bit of wind.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
So you know the airplane is not climbing,
3, 2,
but the ground is going down. And that's what you know is difficult to get right when the ground is going down. So here we go. One notch of flaps. Not off.